Hi everyone, this is Miranda and Lisa and Louie, and we are answering the question,
how does sustained stress and unresolved anxiety impact us? So I wanted to start with just differentiating between what stress and anxiety are. I think we use those words interchangeably in our culture, and they are different. So stress is officially defined as the body's physiological and cognitive response to situations or events that we perceive as threats or challenges. So I think we all can imagine a moment where we just say, that stresses me out. So maybe taking a test, driving in traffic, having to talk in front of people. We understand those as stressful. Anxiety is a little bit different. We feel similar responses and we have similar thoughts and feelings, but when the stressor goes away, when the test is over, when the traffic subsides, we continue to feel those feelings. So they're more intense, they're longer lasting, and clinically we could get into a longer definition, but if we just think about them for the context of this, is they are persistent and they are at a more intense level. I think that will probably do the trick for today's conversation. Also important to think about whenever we think about anxiety is that they can be about a variety of subjects or they could be about one topic specifically. So if someone is constantly worried about being sick, or maybe someone is worried about their children, their finances, being late for work, it can run the gamut on those kind of conversations.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about how stress and anxiety impact us long term physiologically. And so I've been doing a lot of research on that lately. And the main hormone that we have that's related to stress is cortisol. So when we feel stressed, our body releases cortisol and adrenaline, and that is a healthy response. We should have those released into our bloodstream because it helps us prepare and equip ourselves to handle whatever we're facing, whether that's a tiger that's running after us or the test at school. So in small amounts, that is a healthy response for us to have. But what happens is when we have exposure to stress or anxiety long term and our body is continuously releasing cortisol and adrenaline, we start to get acclimated to that, and we get used to functioning in a survival mode versus our rest and reset and recharge mode, which is normal for us to be functioning at. Mm-hmm. So when that happens, our cortisol levels are directly tied to our insulin levels as well. And so that's going to affect how we're digesting our sugar and our food and how we're handling those. And that starts to have a domino effect on our adrenal system, on our endocrine system, which is our hormones, on our digestive system. I know a lot of people have tummy troubles when they feel stressed or anxious, mm-hmm. and that's because that's what's happening. All of our systems in our body are connected, and God has made us as this really unique, cool system that all integrates together. But that means that when we have something that's affecting us, it's going to affect us holistically. It's not just going to affect one aspect. So I think a lot of people don't really think about how stress impacts us over time. I've had lots of clients who come in who can't keep food down. They can't eat because they're so stressed, and they experience a lot of vomiting or nausea or gut and digestive issues. I've had people who are stressed to the point where their hair is falling out, where they're developing ulcers. There's sleep issues that they're happening. They can't focus or concentrate. We all have that brain fog that can happen. So there's just a plethora of issues that can happen that are direct symptoms, but also just systemically that can be happening to our body that we might not even be connecting the dots to.
Yeah, and some of that, whenever we see the cortisol and adrenaline being released, we see it present differently. And children, we typically see things like impulse control problems, attention challenges, and emotional control problems, right? And a lot of that ends up in the counseling room or in the principal's office in schools. Yep. So we see a lot of that. In adults, we have complaints about memory challenges, both emotionally and in our thought processes. So it can present in ways maybe that we don't necessarily think of. There are a lot of practical tips that you can try at home. Sleep is probably the number one thing, and I know we hear that across the board. It is a difficult thing to accomplish, but trying to improve the number and the number of hours and the quality of sleep that you're getting will certainly also have a good impact on reducing stress and anxiety. Doing the next thing, I know that sounds very simple, but instead of trying to do all the things. Kind of taking a deep breath and just doing the next thing is sometimes a really good way to ground us and stop some of that overwhelming. Putting you on your own to-do list. We're not always very good at doing that, but making time for the things that you enjoy, for some rest and rejuvenation, very important. Looking at your support system and asking, who can I ask for help, right? We're not required to do all things on our own and in our own strength. We're actually commanded not to do that, so learning to use our support system is really important. Music, dance, sing, move, figure out how to rock it out if you need to, like whatever you have to do in that way. Take a vacation. Most folks have at least like an hour of paid time off or a lunch break or a 15-minute break, and we're not always good at utilizing those. Go to counseling if you need it. There's many of us in our profession, so find someone that you connect with and do that. And the last thing is, with every one of the clients I work with, we close with what we call 4-7-8 breathing. It takes just a few seconds. It can be done. You can Google this. You'll find it on YouTube. It is a proven strategy to reduce our overall stress level, to reduce our overall anxiety level. It has a lot of physical benefits. So it's called 4-7-8 because you breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, you hold that breath in your belly for 7 seconds, and you exhale loudly for 8 seconds. So Miranda and I are going to do it with you. If you'd like to make it more meditative, you can think about what you need in your spirit to get through the day. So if you're feeling super stressed and you're looking for peace, maybe you want to think about breathing that peace into your soul, holding it there for that 7 seconds, and blowing out anything that might be blocking it. So, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to breathe in peace for 4 seconds. Here we go. And we're going to hold it there for 7 seconds and exhale for 8. So that is recommended to do in a sequence of 4. Again, you can Google that. It's called 4-7-8 breathing, and we hope that's helpful.